If they're just shooting up in the air, then tear gas is easily managed with the gas mask, and if not, then you just have to take more cover. Sometimes they get mad at the photographers and start throwing rocks at them. There are rumors that undercover cops are posing as journalists. So you want to be with the police because then at least you're not the target. But you trying always to look for a different photo.
Here are all these photographers, and I had never met the person I was supposed to go photograph. So I was walking among the photographers that are hunched down or hiding or trying to protect themselves and saying, is your name Belilti? Is your name Belilti? Until I could finally find the guy I was supposed to cover. Yeah, I'm Belilti, but I'm covering a riot, you know. So I was able to cover him, and I was able to actually watch what he did, which was really quite amazing.
My identity as an Israeli in between all the Palestinians, which they protest against my government. Get used to it, to the fact that you're holding a camera and you're a journalist. They don't treat you as an Israeli army guy or Israeli police officer.
Most of the pictures were from the back of the Palestinians to show them and the police and the Israeli police together.
There were like something like 5,000 settlers and 2,000 or 3,000 police officers. I kind of saw it happening before it's happened. I saw them coming, and with all the smoke and everything, so I saw her on the other side, like she was away like 10, 15 meters away from them. And I saw her biting her nails, and she was kind of about to freak out. She wanted to do something. And then she started to run. Once she started to run toward them, I raised my camera. The first picture is she's running toward it. And the second one is she's very close. And the third one was that one. She hit the plastic shields.
And was there a fourth and a fifth?
Yeah.
And what did they look like?
She's on the floor. She was very brave to go alone in front of all these police officers.
And that's one of the things about these Associated Press photographers. One day they're covering a riot, and the next day they're covering a fashion show. In fact, the fashion show reminds me of the photographer named Drew that photographed, and what happened was he was actually covering a fashion show in New York and got a call and said, go down to the World Trade Center. And he got down to the World Trade Center as people were jumping out of the building. And he took the pictures that we often see. It's called Man Falling. And it's one of the most famous pictures from 9/11. And on the day after the tower, that picture was everywhere. But it was so shocking and so upsetting to people, they didn't run it again, basically, for another 10 years. But since then, we've seen it quite often. And one of the things Esquire magazine did was go in and find out who the man was.
So I made my pictures, and I got all I needed backstage. I was talking with a CNN cameraman that I know. A few seconds later, he said, no, he says, an airplane's at the World Trade Center. And almost to the moment he said that, my cell phone went off, and it was my editor, and she said, one of my editors, and she said, an airplane's at the World Trade Center, bag the fashion show, you have to go. I'll never forget that, bag the fashion show, you have to go. So I ended up standing between a police officer and a woman EMT, and we were looking up at the Trade Center, and I was making pictures of it. And then the woman EMT, who was standing to my right, says, oh my gosh, look at this, people are jumping out of the building. I said, what? So I just started instinctively, picked up my camera, and started photographing people. There was one guy who was was outside waving a shirt on the outside of through a broken window, but there were people falling, jumping, pushed out by the flames, whatever, nobody knows. Then I made pictures of the falling man. It's a person who's falling head first. It's not a part of his, it's not his death, it's a part of his life. You know, I was on autopilot. As a photographer and as a professional journalist, I have to photograph what happens. I can't get emotionally involved. Just as I pick up my camera and start to make pictures, the top of the building sort of mushroomed out. All of a sudden, I hear this like rumbling and growling, like sort of like a rock slide was going on. Someone grabbed me, another EMT, and says, "We got to get the heck out of here." And he started dragging me up the street, and that's how I got out of the first one, so I wasn't like buried in the debris.
As a successful photographer, photojournalist, news photographer, whatever you want to call it, you have to know the story. You have to understand the story. If you don't know what's going on, you might as well not be there.
Benazir Bhutto, the exiled former Prime Minister of Pakistan, returned to Karachi. So I flew with her. I was part of this media group. So when we landed in Karachi, there were amazing scenes. Thousands of people had come to greet her, and there were some very strong images at the airport. Later that night, as I was following the convoy, there was an attack. So somebody threw a grenade. I saw a big bomb, and I just lifted up my camera and started shooting. Now I'm in the back of a pickup truck, and the next moment of this, I jump, and I'm right here. And I realized it happened to me as well in the past in the Middle East and in Iraq, but also in Jerusalem. There have been cases where there were twin attacks. What they do in these bombs is that they put metallic fragments like ball heads around the explosives. One of those hit me, it went through my right leg and came into my left leg. I still feel strong that these things have to be covered.
In this day and age, we are totally saturated with photographs. At the AP, we move over 1 million images a year. We move 3,000 images a day, day in, day out. An AP photographer has to come back with something usable at the end of the day. So the challenge often is reconciling those two things. You have to get something good in the can, as it were, but you also, if you want to be successful, have to take a chance and do something different.
At the end of the night, it's whatever the story is right now. So I guess my goal is to find a picture. Assuming there's a reasonable cell signal, I'll be able to transmit a few pictures here. I think I had the lead picture on Yahoo News from the fire. I mean, it's smoky. It's, you know, temperatures are just cooking. Yeah, especially at night, you can't see anything. It's frightening. I guess I sent my last picture at 5 a.m.
I think this is one of my favorite pictures from the whole thing.
Go down. Go down. Come on, go down. Go down, sir. Go down.
I'm trying to get down the other way.
Oh, you go down here.
Okay.
You heard me? Kazoni. I said go down, you go down.
Just be nice.
Go out.
Come on, guys.
Go out, please. Hey! Go out! Shame on you, go out!
Shame on me.
Shame
on
you.
you. Shame on you.
Go!
They'll just try to keep you out of everything. Their orders are not to let anyone into anything.
Very small.
And that's what they do. Messed up.
There was a sound of bomb that I took my cameras up and jumped out of the car and started to run towards the sound. From far, I saw bodies on the ground, and that was very shocking. That girl opened the door just to check out what is going on and why is this sound and what was the explosion. To see her brother and his friends covered with their blood, dead like this, taking pictures and crying at the same time.
Excellent, excellent work for everyone, every photojournalist of AP. Thank you, Kobre. We end here today with this wonderful video. Ciao, to the next time.